I come to you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Please be seated. The Gospel of Mark does not start with the genealogy of Jesus Christ. We leave that to Matthew and Luke. The Gospel of John starts with theology, the light of the world, and what the light means to us, as we know the light is Jesus Christ, and that Jesus Christ was there before creation. No, the Gospel of Mark puts us straight in the middle of all the muck and turbulence that Jesus experienced in his ministry. We're only in chapter 4, and we already know that the religious authorities are plotting against him. And we know that Jesus talks in parables. And today, I like to call we got a BOGO. Buy one, get one. We get 2 parables in 8 verses. So how can we bring these 2 parables to help understand how they can be important to us in today's world in the 21st century? Do you remember as a kid in elementary school during this science experiment where you were asked by your science teacher to plant a seed and let it grow, and that seed would be watered, and soon enough you would find roots, and maybe in due time the stalk, and then some leaves. Do you remember that experiment? I hadn't thought about that experiment until now. In years. But that's what Jesus is talking about here in this gospel reading that we read. First, he's talking about faith. It dawned on me while I was reading the scriptures, meditating on them this week, that how did the farmers know that week after week, year after year, season after season, the seeds that were planted would sprout and they could be harvested? And each year harvest corn and maize and barley and so much more. In today's world, we have technology, we have knowledge about the scientific method of how to grow seeds. They did not in the first century. So they had to rely on faith that seed and that seed that was scattered or planted would grow. And it did. And the next message that I can think of that relates to farming is patience. I don't know a farmer who doesn't have patience. I know it's something I work on. That I have to be patient to allow things to grow. I cannot expect things to happen right away, right now. I have to wait on God's time. And I think that's a struggle for many of us. And then there's that notion of keep seeking the Lord. Stacy and I have bird feeders in our backyard, and we feed them sunflower seeds among other things. And we have this 6-foot sunflower standing there next to that bird feeder. It is amazing to me. And I don't know if you know this about sunflowers. They track the sun as it moves across the sky. They keep focused on that celestial star in the skies. so should we. We should track our Father and stay focused on the heavens above. And that could be through Scripture, diving deep into Scripture. Prayer, praise, worship. All those things that we do help us stay focused on our God. And then just like sunflowers, we spread joy. When you think of a sunflower, what comes to mind? What happens to you? You smile. And if you're lucky enough to see a field full of sunflowers, what more joy comes to bubble up from deep within and from the heart. We are called to experience joy and to share that joy with those beyond our doors. Sunflowers feed insects, feed other animals, and they feed us. Who here loves sunflower seeds? Yeah. So let's feed those who are desperately seeking God with the Word of God and with food of abundance from the earth as we feed our friends and neighbors with physical food for their physical well-being. Now that's the first part of the 8 verses. The first part, first parable. Let's get to the second parable, the mustard seed. Well, here we're talking about ministries that we put together and grow. And we need to remember that as we put them together, we let go of those ministries and let God do the work. We plant the seed, God nurtures it, and it blooms. As we interact with others, we provide hope through our conversations and the sharing of our stories. And we need to remember that God's work cannot be thwarted. It is sustained. It may not always look like what we think it needs to look like, but God will make it happen in His own time. And then there are times where we need to take the opportunity and be present and not look at circumstances around us in what would be the politically correct word, discrimination. We cannot look and judge a book by its cover, because then we'll miss the story inside. Stacy and I were walking on the beach about 2 weeks ago, and we found a bench, sat down on the bench, and at that time chose to just kind of watch the waves and be present. And soon enough, a gentleman sauntered up to us. He was unkempt. His name was Patrick David. And he struck up a conversation with us. He said that sometimes he sleeps on the beach. He's done this for many years. And then he asked us to pray with him. And as we had this conversation and this prayer with him and prayed, laid hands on his head, we felt peace. And soon thereafter, he said his goodbyes and walked away. And we sat there looking at each other going, 20 minutes. And this poor gentleman had probably not had any kind of social interaction in a long time. And we looked at each other and both said, I think we saw God. That's an opportunity not missed. And so when I think about these words that we've read today, I think of two columns. And the one column is our relationship with God. We have faith, we have trust, we have to be patient, there's joy, there's the letting go and let God do His work. And there's that focus with God. And then the second column that I think of is, how do we build the kingdom of God? And I think about feeding others, engaging in those encounters and not letting opportunities pass us by. I think about letting go and letting God bring that encounter, those seeds, to fruition. I think about being steadfast, not losing hope. And I think about spreading joy and hope in those encounters that we have. So I leave you with these two questions. What qualities are you experiencing or want to develop or enhance in your relationship with God? And then the other question I have is, how are you building the kingdom of God? Could have you ponder those two questions this next week? Amen.
Amen.